So Nintendo fans have been waiting months, some even waiting years, for Nintendo to finally address their next console to follow up the Nintendo Switch. This week, alongside the annual investors meeting, CEO Shintaro Furukawa did mention that the successor to the Nintendo Switch would be announced this fiscal year, so anytime from now until March 31st of 2025. But that is not what this video is about. I want to talk about this statement about Nintendo's holding a direct this June regarding the software lineup for the latter half of 2024. At the time of this recording, the only two first-party titles left that come to mind that are announced are Paper Mario Thousand Year Door and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Also, real quick, I do want to mention that I think it's funny that game is called Luigi's Mansion 2 HD instead of Dark Moon HD. It's probably just to prevent confusion from people thinking this is a follow-up to Luigi's Mansion 3, but nonetheless, still funny. So after the release of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon HD in June, what's next? That's what I want to talk about today as I give my list of demands to Nintendo on what games I want to cap off what very well might be the best console ever made, in my opinion. So I think I ought to start off with this one that is a little less something that I want to happen and more of just something that seems like is going to happen. Recently, an ESRB rating for Nintendo World Championships NES Edition was released, and considering that means someone or some group, I'm not really sure how the ESRB works, has played this game in order to rate it, it's not really a rumor, it's just something that actually exists, so I imagine unless this shows up in a random tweet in the next month, it will be involved in the next Nintendo Direct in June. What is it though? Your guess is as good as mine, but I do love the idea people have tossed around after reading this listing of it basically being a rebranding for NES remakes. That sounds right up my alley. Throw in some Nintendo Switch Online integration, give me some leaderboards or medals to win or something, I don't know, and I think it can make for a fun time. Okay, so I think next I ought to tackle the biggest Switch game that still does not have a release date, or even anything past a working title and a logo, Metroid Prime 4. But I don't really expect that game to actually be a Switch game at this point. At least if it is, I would expect it to be more of a cross-gen title to flex the muscles of the next console as well. But that being said, what better way to get people excited for that game than to follow up last year's fantastic remaster of Metroid Prime 1 with ports of Prime 2 and 3. Some rumors suggest that the remasters of Prime 2 and 3 won't be as thorough or involved as they were for Metroid Prime 1, but even so, some touched-up ports with the same control scheme for Prime 1 would be more than enough for me. Metroid isn't the biggest, highest-selling franchise in the world. Hell, Metroid isn't even in the top 5 best-selling franchises out of the original 8 Smash characters, but that doesn't mean they can't try and build that audience with great games that are not easily accessible for most people these days. Now, as much of a slam dunk Metroid Prime 2 and 3 seem to be, these next two games seem to be even more so, and that's the two GameCube Zeldas, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. These make perfect sense to add to the Switch, mainly because every other mainline 3D Zelda title is already playable in some way in the system. It would be very strange to me for those games to make their way to the Wii U and then not come over to the Switch like every other Wii U release that has done at this point. Well, mostly every other Wii U game, but we'll get to that soon. Also, while we're still on the Zelda GameCube topic, there was a third Zelda game on the GameCube with Four Swords Adventures, but I would honestly much rather Four Swords on the Game Boy Advance just get added to the Nintendo Switch Online. Speaking of Nintendo Switch Online, I do have a couple of requests there as well. 3 Nintendo 64 titles that I think are must-have for the service. So real quick, Diddy Kong Racing, kind of insane in my opinion that isn't on there already. Donkey Kong 64, even more insane that it isn't on there already. And then, Super Smash Brothers? Maybe the weirdest one yet. It's not being on the service. Give me one good reason that game shouldn't be on NSO. What, is going to stop the sales of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a game that has sold more copies than the actual console that is the Nintendo 64? Give me a break. Throw it on there. Please and thank you. Alright, so back to the Wii U like I teased a moment ago. Probably the biggest gap left for Wii U re-releases, arguably even more so than the Zelda ports, is Xenoblade Chronicles X. This is a game I have personally not played yet, but I do own this here World Edition that's still in the plastic, but it deserves a chance to thrive alongside its 3 fantastic cousins that are all already on the platform. I'm keeping this copy hostage inside its plastic seal in the event Nintendo throws it on the Switch, but if that doesn't happen, I guess I'll boot up the old Wii U and give this one a go. Alright, so that does bring me to the last game I want to see help act as a swan song to the Switch, and it's from arguably my favorite franchise, and one that has seen plenty of support and releases on the Switch, and that is the next Fire Emblem. And I in no way think the next brand new Fire Emblem title is ready to go. Engage was just last year, but there have been rumors for years now dating all the way back to the 3DS, that a remake of Fire Emblem 4, Genealogy of the Holy War, has been in the works and or just actually sitting on the shelf waiting to be released. Who knows if that's true, but if there's anything behind those rumors, this upcoming June Direct would be the time to hear about it. I would love a chance for more people to get to experience this game. I've only played it through a fan translation because it's a Japanese only release, but it's a very, very good game and a very, very well regarded game amongst the hardcore Fire Emblem heads like myself. Sure, it's pretty slow and pretty dated, but hey, that's what a remake's for, to fix all that stuff. This game has a really cool story, takes a lot of chances, and has some really dark, twisted, messed up stuff in the finer details of the characters, and I think it'd be really neat to see all of that brought to a modern audience. So there we have it. These are my demands for Nintendo, and I expect they will adhere to all these and make the last stretch of the Switch perfect for me in particular. I would love to hear what games you would like to see on the Switch at the 11th hour in the comments. And if you like this video and are still listening here at the end, it genuinely means a lot. Thanks for your time. And if you didn't like this video and you are still listening here at the end, thanks too, I guess. Leave a like if you're feeling nice and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos from me in the future. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.